Well, and welcome in to the Sorare Data Show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined today by, what did you just tell me to call you?
Nope.
GatorGuy231. Keith Jameson is here. Thanks everyone for coming in. It looks like, let me see. Toby said next week I want an episode dissecting the Danish Superliga penalty system. Keith, if you thought there was a league in the world that had like a complicated, you get a certain number of yellows and you get suspended, and the Danish Superliga will beat that. Trust me.
That's new.
Anyway, we'll get there. Jamie said there will be losers, but I'm currently winning Spurs rare and limited collections, which probably actually makes me the biggest loser given the recent Arsenal collection successes. And Kev Heard third on the podium and only 85 minutes early. And frankly, Kevin, it seems like maybe you were 86 minutes early since we were a minute late. One of us was a minute late. The other one is right here. Daniel Cooper, what's up? Big Gustago, hi, it's me. Hi, I'm the loser. It's me. Shout out Taylor Swift. Let's see. Henry is here. 93 acres, the Gator in the thumbnail. So there are a couple Gator comments here. Keith, once and for all, explain the Gator thing for those who don't know.
Oh, I mean, I went to UF, was a Gator guy. It was during, when I was in school, was the poker, what do you want to call it, rush, craziness, but Poker Stars and Party Poker were like the big thing, and you had to make a screen name. And I'm like, I'm a Gator guy. So, and then I think GatorGuy231, because I was a Jordan fan growing up, was taken. So you just added a 1 and it wasn't.
Slap that one on and you're good to go. Yeah, so that's literally the story of why he's Gator Guy, because his university's mascot is the Gator.
That's it.
Anyway, Mike Basson said, I'm going to have to catch this one later. Shout out to coming into the chat first, though, as he's out playing his Cup semifinal. So, Mike, hopefully you're watching this, covered in beer and champagne because you won. But we'll see. Mitioso, good evening. Good to see you. He said, with the ETH spike, we're all losers, which DM Star, if we're all losers, then the friends we made along the way makes us winners. Mic drop. Aaron agrees, but he says, in my opinion, if you play to make money, you've already lost. Oof. Because Foosball Vicen said, it's just a game. Your words, not mine. Anyway, Aaron said, a few good moments along the way make for a good time. Sorare Juju, what's up? So legendary. Is it odd that I haven't played Sorare for 2 years and yet I still watch Sorare data shows?
Kind of, but awesome.
I would rather you not play and watch Sorare data shows than play and not watch Sorare data shows. How about that? So appreciate you watching. Philly Dilly said, just finished a Teams meeting with the quickness to get in here in time. # priorities. I apologize that we didn't have the same priorities of getting here on time. Anyway.
Hold on. I'm actually going to fight. I was literally in somebody else's house for work not even 7 minutes ago, yet I am here. So you're welcome.
Okay. As I'm checking my phone here, congratulations to PSU fans too for finally winning Mbappe.
Oh, he did?
He did.
What would have been better content? Hold on. So actually Mike Baston is gone, but I feel like this would have been a good Mike question. What's better content? PSU live streaming winning Mbappe or PSU live streaming and not winning Mbappe?
Yeah. It's always not. For sure. For sure. So Legendary said, I'm just not sure the price to prize ratio is there yet. Watching what happens with the latest update. We will get into that. Trust me. Risu said, are you actually called Gator Guy because you love alligators so much? I guess we hit that one before. It's Wilson. Tuggy, Toby, what's up? Tuggy said that you actually have a shrine dedicated to alligators. Shoes made from them, belts, eats gator jerky. He's a certified weirdo, if you ask me. Toby said, we can't be losers if we're having fun. Andy Black said he loves alligators as much as Steve Irwin. Rest in peace. Simo, what's up? Daniel Cooper, excuse me. Lairdinho is unstoppable. Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on. Somebody actually did do it right. I should have done because I had a bad thing, but what was it? Somebody had a good one in here for late Gator.
Later Guy 231.
Later Guy. There we go. This was definitely all Later Guy 231's fault.
Big up Hat Legend. I love that one. Punctuality was a loser today, says The Good Place, which is a great line too. Andy Black has a good question. Are you actually more of a crocodile guy? Or is it always alligators over crocs?
I mean, it's the Florida Gators, but I'll be honest with you. I don't know if this makes me a terrible Floridian, but I could not tell you the difference between alligator and crocodile. I know it's like a nose thing.
No, it's the teeth.
See, I don't even know the reason.
Alligators have like the teeth that come out of their mouth, and crocodiles don't.
So what you're saying is, because I always get people moving here that are scared to death of alligators. I'm like, just don't feed them. You'll be all right. But so you're telling me you won't know until they're biting you if it's an alligator or a crocodile?
No, not when it's biting you, but just when it's like charging at you, and you have to be like, whoa, let me see your teeth. Yeah.
Like, oh, that's a crocodile.
That's a crocodile. Yeah, we're good.
Hey, dude, I'm a gator too. Just chill out.
The Good Place says you can tell by how they say goodbye. If he if he says "see you later," he's a gator guy. If he says "in a while," he's a crocodile guy. Oh,
that was good. You know what?
You find something so much funnier than they actually are. That was hilarious.
You know what's worse? My 5-year-old, when I'm leaving, has to run to the door, and he sees sick, and he literally will just, until I pull out, "See you later, alligator. See you later, crocodile," over and over again. Yep.
We got stuff to work on.
He knows.
Sean Thorpe says we've got a live one. Let's have it. I mean, this is the content you guys came for, surely. Malky, what's up? Pedagol said I saw the title and I felt called out, which that can happen a lot. Let's see. Mad Koala said, I just got Fernando Muslera as a tier 1 in Challenger Europe. Any update on his contract or retirement? I assume he plays till he's 1,000.
I know I remember some tweet that they were negotiating an extension like earlier this year, but I don't think I ever will anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. Despite having one forever. Anyway, thank you to everybody for coming in. I don't know how many people are watching. What do I have here? 67. I imagine I can't see the likes, but I imagine they're not 67 likes. But if you came for the Sorare content, you got free crocodile and alligator content. So just like the video for that reason. So thank you for everyone for doing that. Keith, how many losers do you think we're going to see buying all of these in-season cards and never winning their money back?
Probably more than we see winning. I think based on what I've seen just a little bit, like clicking through a couple galleries of people that were, this sounds terrible, but like really excited about some of their purchases.
Clicking around some losers. I
was like, oh, they're super excited. I clicked, I'm like, they should not be excited. I don't think that's going to win. So
I think there are going to be a lot of people trying to compete and not that many competing. This idea I've been thinking about for a little bit, and then it actually came to fruition of like, we should talk about this when I was actually listening to the Takecast this week, which I don't listen to regularly, but NPK was on it. And for those of you who don't know, he worked for DraftKings in like the VIP area. And it was basically like a behind the scenes on DraftKings. And one of the, it's not even a secret, but it's also not, and it is like published transparently. But one of the big things about DraftKings is that basically 90% of the people who play lose. And it's an astonishing number when you really think about it. And people keep playing. And I think that there's going to be a situation when it comes to these Sorare in-season competitions where people will start buying cards. And you kind of said it yourself that you were tempted to sell everything and start new just with like in-season cards and just going from there. And I think there are going to be people who do that, or basically look at their galleries as like, all right, these are my old cards, but now I'm going to put money in so I can win cash also. And not everybody can win that way. And it was easier for us when we were winning cards to just be like, oh, we're winning cards. Like, oh, we'll just keep going. But there's a very clear time frame now with your in-season cards where you have to make this money back. And yes, you can continue to use one next year, but at least for cash winnings. But I kind of keep thinking of the people who bought in like August when the prices were the highest, and then prices go down and they're like, this sucks. But like, that's exactly what is going to happen with these new season cards every year now, because like they're the most valuable at the beginning and the utility is just lower and lower every game they play.
You know, one thing I don't think that you hit on there too, which I was talking to somebody this morning about it, that hasn't been able to stay in touch with everything going on. The biggest issue too on old season. So like I hear this a lot as well. Like, okay, well, it's fine. I'm not going to buy new season. I'm just going to use old season to buy. We don't know special weeklies yet, but as it stands now, unless they're excellent and they're broad, there's going to be so much congestion, like in challengers and stuff. Like you think, like let's just do MLS. You go Cucho. Cucho is a card that would have been played everywhere right now. Like I remember, like when I was like more strategic with a smaller gallery, like when I first bought my Gil. You probably remember this because I talked with you and Sean both about this. I was like trying to figure out where would he be played the least. Like, okay, if I go into All-Star Rare Plus, everybody's playing him there. Sean's playing him there. You're playing him there. Both of you had much better galleries than me at the time. I'm like, well, I don't want to use him there. I already know multiple people that have a better lineup on paper than mine. Maybe I should go into America 4, or at that point, America Rare at that point. But so you would like Gil would be in All-Star Rare Plus, maybe 270 if you want to captain him because you could get the 50% bonus. I've seen Andy Black play a Messi in Cap 240. Like you had all these different places these super cards can go. Cucho, Messi, Gil, 90% of them, maybe 95% are going in one place now. And it's Challenger. Now, obviously there's your divisions, but we know where they're going. So I think that old season is going to be pretty difficult. Like I don't think that winning is like this guarantee that sometimes people are saying that it's going to be. So I'm seeing, like in my shift, is that I think new season, if you can strategize it right and you're buying the right cards, at least early on, could be an easier way, easier path to winning than old season is.
And you're just looking at that from the perspective there's just fewer people competing.
Fewer people competing and fewer cards available. Like we have to remember for Gil, we have 3 seasons of Gil rares. And there's one place for them to go.
Yeah. That is one thing that I feel like some people may be not forgetting, but just like fully appreciating that most likely, or even if we do get to full mints or they release all the cards right away, like there will never be more than 100 Carlos Heels in the in-season competition. I guess that's not true because people will play an old one, but like they're not going to be like an overwhelming number of like a single player, I think.
Exactly. That's, I think, where the biggest difference rises. And then obviously you and Sean talked about this yesterday, but the most are in play at the end of the season because they're out and minted. But you're building up inventory as the season goes along. So I don't know. It's just really interesting. Did you, before we move off the topic, I was over here searching. I have the DraftKings numbers. Do you want me to share those?
Sure. Tom Brinson was saying Betfair, which is a betting exchange in the UK, published something last year that 95% of people lose. And
it's pretty much that.
Yeah. And just that people vastly overestimate their ability in anything. It's not even anything gambling related. It's anything. Here you go. Yeah. So this is the DraftKings like distribution. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you you look at that the top 1% are the ones like making money.
Right.
And if you go down too on that to net winners the last 7 days, only 15% are net winners, 11% breaking even, 74% net losers. And you got to think like those are the people that are just like jumping into the site to test it out, and they're like, well, that sucked. Not redepositing. I'm at 0. Let me get the hell off of here.
I think there are plenty of people who do that, and they're like, all right, deposit some more, keep going.
I think there are. And that's probably the unhealthy, right? The healthier way is like, I'm not very good at this. Yeah.
I mean,
It depends
I
on what
think
work
they're
you're going to put in. If you're trying to prove a concept, it's one thing. But if you're actually willing to
right.
sit there and go, that didn't go well, I attacked this completely the wrong way. Let me re-strategize or get some help or read some articles or whatever. It's like, that's fine.
Yeah, I want to not justify it, but I feel like there are plenty of people who play either consciously or subconsciously that play in a way where they know it's a long shot, but they're like, but I just need to win once. And so they'll be a net loser for however long they want. And they just need to win once and they're fine. And they're
What
willing to keep
Ryan,
playing for that one win.
I mean, what Ryan put is like, if we could get that justification or that mindset for Sorare too, I think that's a great place to be for new users that go, I'm enjoying this. And
So
that,
Ryan said, I'm 100% a net loser on DFS, but I'll play $5 on a weekend football contest, and the entertainment value is way less expensive than going to the movies.
and the reality is Ryan's $5, especially on like DFS in terms of NFL. If he gets it right one time, he could make $10,000. And I mean, that's a cool element of maybe, where the so rare cash prizes could go too, is that you have that little dangling carrot.
Shout out to Ryan too, who dropped this earlier. Monday, the R. Walter 5 gallery review. Tuesday, there will be losers. Not at all, Ryan. Not at all. We're going to make you a winner here. Henry said, this is different than betting. Here, you also have a part of entertainment, sort of a hobby that comes with it. There are plenty of people who bet on sports as an entertainment vehicle. It just doesn't feel as healthy. That's all.
It's probably less healthy when you're on your 7th live bet because you keep picking the wrong side and you're like, well, if I like them at +3, I really like them at +13.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So Juju said it's the modern way of putting $5 on 4 games where the underdog needs to win for you to get your $250. If they win it once, they're happy. I think we're going to see a lot of people playing to win once. And as our good friend Dylan says, one is just one more than zero. I mean, everybody can win 0 times, and it's only once. You only have to win once.
So do you think, I don't know if this is where you're going to go ahead, but I feel like newer users can use that. It's the old users that know all the old ways that's the hardest to adjust.
I completely agree with that, but also it shouldn't actually matter, right? Like we know, but like that doesn't give us any sort of advantage because we still have to go out and get the cards.
Right. Well, and the old game's not there anymore. So
right. Yeah. Right. We're not even playing that game anymore.
It literally, like, even if you go, oh, so much better before, it's like, yeah, it's not.
Doesn't matter.
Not there. So I mean, you said it. What I think on a Friday stream, if it was this one or last one. Here's the game. Decide if you like this game and play it, or if you don't really like it.
ZM Star said the mental gymnastics is a crucial personality trait for old users.
But we do that even in our gallery and our evaluations too. I mean, think about it when you're just like, so I did an incredibly unhealthy exercise, which there were some comments about ETH earlier. I'll say this. Your gallery might hold up a little bit better if you switch to fiat and don't look at ETH. Because, I think a lot of us, I think I sent you a tweet, but like somebody that I value everything in ETH and my gallery is taking a plunging. It's like, yeah, I mean, if ETH is worth triple what it was when you bought your card, you're not going to have the same ETH value. Right. There's nothing Sorare can do about that. But, there's a lot of cards that, I thought when I was just looking in the ETH lens, like, God, that was a bad purchase. And then you kind of switch it over to, fiat or US, and it really does. It's a lot more stable over the last like 6 to 9 months on some of your cards than I think what a lot of us are giving credit for.
And it's basically the reason why they have switched from being this like ETH heavy platform. Like prices were always closer to fiat than ETH, but because ETH was the only currency we had on the platform, it was still much more prevalent. But if ETH moved in either direction, like prices adjusted. It's not like people were like, oh yeah, I'll take the same amount of ETH. if the ETH was not worth as much or was worth much more. And so like you can value whatever you want in ETH, but when the majority of the platform does not, then yeah, if ETH runs, you're going to lose out on the value of your ETH because it's just not worth as much anymore.
Do you remember, like, I'm sure you have one, but one little thing sticks. Do you remember when I freaked out overnight at I had an Adon like 2 years ago? That's all. Do you remember this a little bit?
I think I do, because I feel like we've all had this also.
We've all had this, but like just to like show like the velocity that stuff used to move in that ETH would. I think there was like one night ETH just crashed from, I don't remember how bad, but I remember it being a big enough crash. And I went to sleep. I had just bought in an Adon for 0.7 ETH. And I think I used to do when my gallery was smaller, I would like, before I go to bed, I would just see what the floor was on everything. And I would just relist some expensive cards for under the new floor if it was way too high, and just go, maybe somebody wants to, maybe somebody had a few too many drinks tonight and wants to make a mistake with my card or something. And I remember I listed Adon for 1.2 or 1.3 ETH, and I woke up and it sold, and I immediately was like upset though, because it didn't like sell. It sold for a huge ETH gain, but it was like a fiat loss, and I'm like, and then the prices of everything just kept on shooting up in ETH because there was a fall off in the USD value. And like, to me, that was like incredibly unhealthy to like have to monitor every card that you had. This is before too, you could do like the peg to ETH.
Yeah.
On the site. So you would like literally, I remember when there would be runs either way. There'd be people online trying to help, like, remember to delist your cards because they're gonna get swooped up because the prices are gonna change so crazy. And I think right now, if you just look in fiat, like a lot of these cards, don't take these new MLS mints, but a lot of these cards, they've actually been fairly stable for this like 6-month run.
Certainly more stable than they had been.
Than they have ever been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Budwine said, I won a Wemby the other day and insta sold for that sweet, sweet ETH.
It's a beautiful
awesome. Yeah. So talking to Sean about the EV calculations, and I don't think enough people, and actually I was gonna say, I don't think enough people are doing the math to figure out like what they should be spending, and not that we're here to tell people how much they should spend, but like how much to spend if you think you can win whatever amount that is, because we still don't really know what that amount is. Like, we're still waiting for the details. But the price discovery has been very interesting on these MLS cards. We've seen a ton of number 2s go more than number 1s because people just like don't like. I think it was almost like people weren't sure what the multiple should be for the new season cards, and it was number 1, and then they saw what the multiple was, and like people like Sean were like, and you too were like, I don't think that's high enough. People were like, okay, so they go and they pay a little more for the number 2, and then, but we're still kind of in this phase of we don't have any idea how much you can win with these cards, but they're still selling them as if we'll know.
I thought the biggest like aha, and like I just stopped. I paused y'all's stream yesterday. To think about it was, I think Sean said, what we really need on these prize pools is understanding the upside, because depending on that, you can't pay out the what for an Mbappe if you can't yield enough back from it.
Right.
And like that's one aspect I had not thought of until you said it, and I was just like, as somebody that's like primarily like America, and I'm like, that's math that we need to know for Messi. Messi's a hell of a fun card, but you have to know what you can reasonably yield on that, because especially someone like Messi, how many years do we have left? We really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't. I mean, we can all laugh and giggle, and he's making $1 billion, it feels like, being here. So I'm sure he would like to do it, but I mean, he's closer to the end than he is at the beginning of his career. So we have a finite list, and the good thing about a Messi card though, obviously, is if you buy a new, that's still probably going to be next year, assuming the game's the same. It's still probably going to be your one old season rare in a new comp.
Unless you have Gil.
I'll take Messi.
Okay. That's fine.
Messi. As I captain Gil this midweek. So.
I think I did the same thing, actually. He was home. Messi was away.
Come on, the brand is strong. The brand is strong.
Not even a question. Yeah, so I just think it's like one of those things that we need to discuss.
I mean, how much? So how much is that going to affect your? You haven't bought yet, right? Any new season?
Not MLS, no.
Is there specifically? Are you ready to go once the prize pool comes out and you can do those calculations?
I think it'll make it a little easier for me to convince myself. I actually am more likely to try to get the European guys because I think they're just going to be cheaper, and I'm willing to wait that out. Obviously, it doesn't have like the full utility that MLS does, but like I don't think it's necessary for me to have MLS cards on day one of like Challengers cash competition.
I agree with that. You kind of paying attention because the other problem too, I was talking to the guy this morning about is, you can say you're all set and you got all these MLS for the 29th. And I was just looking at the schedule randomly because he was like, I'm all set, I'm getting MLS. And I was like, I don't know the Portuguese league too well, but all I know is in Challenger, let me pull it back up. Benfica for that week will be home for whatever a Chavez is. Feyenoord is home to Utrecht. PSV is away. But like, you got to keep in mind that if you're like building MLS ready for the 29th, ready for the new mode, all these other guys that have been winning Veermans and Hankos and Di Marias, Otamendi's, they're like, we're ready too, guys. We're ready for the 29th as well.
It does feel like the talk is that MLS is the only thing when it launches, and it's like there's like 2 months, maybe a month and a half, we'll call it 6 weeks, 7 game weeks maybe, that we have the European ones. And yeah,
well, and not to mention, by the way, those, to go a little bit collection time only on this, but those European ones have some crazy XP compared to the MLS as well. Like, you're going to have Veermans at 11, 12, 13% by now.
Yeah. Jeez, that's crazy. Sorry.
You're like, yeah, I'm actually really not interested in new MLS just yet.
We've got, so this game week, 463 for Challengers. PSV's away to NEC.
Yeah, which
AZ is home against Vitesse. Where was the other one? Feyenoord Utrecht, you said that one.
Yeah. Benfica was the one that stood out. I was literally just like top of my head Dutch league, like, and Portuguese top teams. I was like, well, that's enough to show I like those matchups in most of the MLS. And like, he's somebody that has a lot of crew players, which is a great spot to be in the MLS. Yeah. And the crew immediately is away that match to somebody half decent. Let's see. Yeah, crew is away to Nashville.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still not, you're not expecting 6 goals, but if I told you that Benfica has 6 goals, you're like, okay, I can see that.
Yeah, Sporting are big favorites that week too.
There you go.
Against Estrella.
You would know. And Adana will be back by then.
Oh, please. Please. Sorry, let me check up on the Shaforko said, one thing is for sure, a lot of players leaving Sorare either because of fear of crash, either because of miscommunication from Sorare. Either them or us will be losers. I don't think there are that many people leaving, to be honest. Budwine said, fear of crash is reasonable since 99% of blockchain products have crashed, but Sorare is fun. I mean, I think Sorare has lasted significantly longer than most other.
Well, and I do think, I know the title of the episode is like, there will be losers, but the other aspect of that too is Sorare is literally putting it out there. Here's cash. Like, what was something that we heard over and over again, like people not wanting to use the Ponzi word? Mm-hmm. Well, it's actually really hard to call it a Ponzi if there's literally cash as the reward and not just cards. So, I think that's going to give a lot of justification for people that were sitting on the rail to go, okay, well, here's like Sean said, like I can see a lot of more DFS people coming in and going, I now can literally map out this from an EV perspective and go, here, if I put in X number of dollars, here's what I could reasonably expect to yield.
So before I get to that, Bass's tent. Yeah. Is there an in-season MLS comp coming? No, there's not a consistent one. MLS will be in challengers, and they said that there was going to be some sort of like MLS special weekly with $100,000 prize pool, which sounds much better than it actually is. So to your point about like the DFS people will now be able to come in, I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either, because there's only like 6 DFS soccer guys.
But even like forgetting that, which is also true, Daniel said this summer for challengers will basically be an in-season MLS comp. Do we know if they're going to count Leagues Cup as like challengers?
I mean, the problem is Liga MX is who they're playing, and they're in contender. So I feel like that has to be a special.
I think there are going to be a lot fewer of these like MLS only weeks than people think that they're going to be. Maybe I'll go look, or maybe somebody who actually cares should go look, and then tell us all. But I think the problem about the DFS thing, and what will keep a lot of people who would be interested in DFS, is that I don't think the prizes are big enough. I don't think, like, we're a long way away from Sorare being able to sell these cards for enough money that that the top prize is big enough to entice a lot of those people. And I think that reasonably, the way that you make your money back from these in-season cards is little by little throughout the season, and people don't want to do that.
I literally think you could be completely correct. I do think, though, just having, because Sean on Sorare is a whale, and in the DFS side is very much a whale. Like, plays nosebleed stakes on both that I can't deal with. But I played DFS for a while. I'm a guy that on most soccer slates will have between $100 to $400 of action, which is not a small amount of money, but is in the DFS world is nowhere near considering like whale status. And I think, though, like people that are like me, which I think are more prevalent than just the top end, those type of people could see a yield if they found out about it. But they have to find out, and they also have to like soccer. And in America, this is not soccer's not scratching the surface right now.
Yeah, I'm just not sure the crossover exists as much as we thought it did. And that's coming from two people who used to play and talking about another guy that used to play. I mean, you still play DFS soccer, but and apologies for everyone who's like triggered a little bit that we keep calling it soccer, but literally DraftKings
it's really called DFS soccer.
And so we just need to keep going.
Yeah. Sorry, not.
So yeah, I'm not sure it's enough of a like, I don't know if the prize pool is enough of a draw, and just explaining to be like, no, but you just buy the cards once and you can play it all over and over again. And they were like, oh, so I can spend like 10 grand so that I can win like $300 this week, $200 next week. And it's just like, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong.
Can I just buy a bond for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Really be boring.
Or just like, why wouldn't I just play DraftKings?
What about those CDs at the bank? Isn't that I could actually imagine that type of joke, like, because that yield is just not that huge. But so here's a better question and I'm sorry that I'm jumping us around on the topic, but have you thought about what you're expecting, like, the trail off of the cards to be? So, like, I know you guys talked about Lucho Acosta being 500, and theoretically, the number one should be the highest. I know it might not be, but it should be. It's the longest utility. It also has a premium, all that stuff. Like, have you kind of thought in your head, like, what you expect that to be? Like, do you expect it to go to where the old seasons are? Because I think the old seasons, personally, are still going to steadily decline, because there's just going to continue to be more and more of them in circulation as these new seasons become old.
So I agree with you that like one should be the most, even though
we know discovery needs to happen, though. So we get that.
Yeah. But theoretically, like 2 through 10, let's call it, should be the same, because if they release them all, we have this weird situation with MLS that they're able to get these cards out before the cash competitions start.
Right.
And they're not going to have that with the other leagues. We don't
like
think.
J-League and K-League probably will.
Right. Same. Yeah. Well, they've got 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So like theoretically it could happen, but it's more like our Premier League competition is going to start on the day one of the Premier League. And if they don't have cards, then like what happens? And so how much the cards deteriorate will 100% depend on how they distribute the cards. Like, are all 60 rares that they can sell of every player available on day one? Are they going to stagger them out so that, you don't get your 25th mint until October?
Right.
And then like that card shouldn't have as much utility as if it was sold in August. Like, I think that's actually the question, because just like you said, the old season cards should deteriorate as well because there are more of them as every new season card comes in, because they will become old season cards.
Right.
And we just don't know if there's going to be this like rush at a single time of like, okay, here they are, go get them, or they're going to do it like they do now. And then it's going to be fewer people playing the cash competitions early in the season because there's just not enough cards to do it.
That's first the scary, fascinating aspect of what's to come, because right now, like we seen MLS is no change. It's slow auctions. We're at like number 3 and number 4 on most guys, and it's been what, close to a week, a little less than a week.
Yeah, has it even been a week?
I don't know, man. It feels like 3 weeks in Sorare time.
Yeah, it does. What do you think about this idea of keeping the auctions as they are, but backloading the prizes? Meaning, like we'll get more cash in later competitions.
It makes sense because you have more entries. I mean, like if you go this like purely going back to DFS, the more entries, the bigger the prize pool, right? Like that's why they want more and more people to grow, because so they can do these $1 million prize pools or these $1 million first place type of things. I kind of like level, because I don't think like the part when you and Sean were talking about like the backloading the end, I think my initial thought, like being like a strategy guy, goes, well, if that's the case, I actually care less about like having the best players and actually care a lot more about like being set up with the best matchups for the biggest winners. And that just becomes kind of a brain F, because, then you go like what I hate on DraftKings soccer. Sorry to make this like a DraftKings conversation, but I feel like the game's kind of shifted a little bit more towards that strategy. You probably hated this as a former DraftKings soccer content creator. The biggest contest every single year is the final week of the season, when it's always a cluster F.
Yeah.
And like you have like
The last day of the Premier League season.
Yeah, and like literally, like there's this event, like this the biggest. There's 100,000 to first. It's called the King of the Pitch, that you have to qualify for and spend a lot of money. A lot of times to qualify for these tickets, and so like all these guys and all these strategies you've used to get these tickets and to be successful throughout the season all go out the window for this one contest. Like I think I got top 5 one year, and it was like 2 or 3 years ago. Manchester United rotated everybody, and it was like Anthony Elonga's first game. And I just happened to know who he was, and he ended up scoring. And you just had all these different guys, and you're like, hold on, who's taking the corner kicks? Is that even a real guy? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of like, it's not like a build-up. So I worry about that from Sorare. I don't want them to backload it where it's not the fact that you have Bruno. Don't say Bruno. KDP or, Trent or Holland or Rodri all year. And those guys don't matter as much as, Sheffield's been relegated for 3 weeks. They decide to let the whole youth kids play, and it happens to be against Spurs, who are playing for top 4, and Spurs wins 9-0. Like that's the stuff that I don't really want to see that.
Yeah, I totally get that, and I didn't mean it quite as a like full backload, but just more that the available cash prizes increase throughout the season instead of maintain or stay.
But that still has the backload element, because if you know that that's the case, then you start looking at fixtures and you go, I know Man City's going to be the best team, But Man City, the last 4 weeks, played Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, and somebody else. I'm not nearly as interested as them as Bournemouth just happens to have 3 relegation teams, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's so. I get it, and then I also am just like, I feel like that could be a. But I also really do like that strategy aspect as well. So I don't know.
So
I'm very conflicted.
yeah, so I'm gonna help you get even more conflicted. But first off, Chani, thanks for coming in. He's gonna finish this one at the gym tomorrow. Chani's like a 4-hour gym guy, so he'll have plenty of time. So I got a message from Peter Stoyanov, who has written a bunch of really great stuff about Sorare. Everybody should go check that out. I say that, and I don't remember like where he actually what his Medium site is. But anyway, he DM'd me about the conversation yesterday, specifically about backloading prizes. And he said, if Sorare backloaded prizes, it would maintain card prices more instead of the slow, gradual decline. But then users would see a sharp drop off at the end of the season. I think it's healthier for a card to slowly decline in price over the course of a season because that matches with its drop in additional utility. And it's better for new users. If a new user joins a platform in February, it would be better than the price of an in-season card. It would be better, if the price of that in-season card doesn't sharply decline at price at the end of the season versus a more natural decline. So I get that, but the decline is going to happen regardless. Like no matter when you buy the card, it's going to decline regardless. And so I think the advantage to backloading is just that you don't need to sell the cards right away, and it allows people to decide if they want to keep playing. And it allows you in February to be like, hey, we're doubling the prize pool.
Right.
And everyone's like,
to get that little like, well, think about this year. If you look at an EPL price graph, that's exactly what happened.
Yes.
Literally, because everybody thought, even though I think you more than anybody can remember saying is like, they kind of implied a second Premier League thing, but they didn't say explicitly, but they definitely implied it. But we saw as EPL first cash competition went like this, and then announcement. But now we're actually already. I don't know if you saw like there was a Rodri auction yesterday. It's not that pretty. Even in Fiat didn't save this one.
Let's see. Ooh, yeah, that's bad. Let's see. This is this is Fiat.
Yeah, that's the problem. That would be okay if it was Eve. Laird, that would have been okay if it was Eve. Doesn't.
Wow. But yeah, but it's recognizable now that exactly how many games you have left to play this in-season competition.
Can you do me a favor? Can you go back to that graph though and show 3 months, and we can just show what we were talking about with that?
Well, I feel like the limited one shows it the best in terms of like
the next rise though.
In season, and then they announce it again. Or I'm sorry, this is the first. Was this the first one? Yeah,
that's the first in season.
So this is the first in-season competition, and then we didn't think we got one, and then here's the second one.
But what I wanted to point out with this though too, don't you think that what we just saw there, minus the end of the season back up, this is probably what we should expect to see on our normal price graphs, is top maximum utility and move down.
It's going to become like prices will be even more dramatically linked to utility than anything else. And obviously, injuries and or role changes affect that, but ultimately they're going to look like this. And I don't think they're going to go to zero, but like this is what price graphs are going to look like, and it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this makes sense. Now, the real question just becomes is, does at the end of the year, let's just assume like flattish payout structures, does it resume there the following year when it's an old season, or is there a new like extra drop off? Because theoretically, we should have this little like, here it's December, where you have like 8 weeks left, and that's kind of the dip. Is what we've seen in the old market, where it's, you have 8 to 10 games left, and that's where things somewhat bottomed out.
So theoretically, if they backload them, the decline is not as drastic, right?
Correct. But then it's like, it's almost this gamble, right? You're like gambling on, because then especially too, if you're like, okay, this is the biggest prizes, and I'm just gonna, I could pick the wrong guy here, but let's just assume, I think I used Bournemouth was end of the season, final game versus Sheffield. Sheffield's been done for a while. It's at Bournemouth. Bournemouth needs the win to stay up. Do you go buy a Marcus Tavernier type of guy? Do you, like, Lewis Cook has been half decent for them? Like, do you go do that risk because you're like, I'm just one card away from, thinking my expected value could be that top price?
That's when people lose.
I know it is, and I'm one of those losers.
So I don't think that's bad, and I realize how bad that actually sounds. But I think the number of people who take that risk is high, and most of those people, I don't think, actually understand the risk or fully appreciate it. But that's what it is. The game, like, that part becomes full risk reward. Are you that close? Go buy the card. And you buy the card and you're not that close, but you're like, oh, it's a good card though, so I'm sure I'll just try. And then
that's where you justify it. And then, like, I had a few when I was reviewing last night that I justified for 1 week, and then it crashed. I'm like, the old Sorare player. I'm just gonna wait for it to come back up because it'll come. And now, literally, like, I had one that I think I paid $195 for. I bought him for 1 week, Laird. 1 week. It's like a $2 card now.
Dusan Tadic.
No. He's a lot dustier than Tadic.
Yeah.
It was Miguel Torin.
Oh, sure. Argentinos? Although he's not there now, right?
He's not there yet. That kind of hurt, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think it puts it all into a different perspective of, but that being said, that perspective at least gives you, like, you have a clearer idea of what you can win. And, like, that makes it, does that make it easier to spend it? Because you're like, oh, I know I can win $500, let's say.
I for data people, it definitely does, right? I think that the average user is gonna just look at the first prize and go, I can win $3,000.
But that's the fun of Sorare.
It's
really the fun of any fantasy game.
I was literally going to say that's the fun, because there's nobody that enters the DraftKings Millie Maker that doesn't go, winning $1 million would be really fun with this football lineup.
Right.
It's worth $20 for me to have this chance to add $1 million using my knowledge. And I think it's going to be the same way as Sorare. Just to your point earlier, though, unfortunately, a lot smaller stakes than $1 million.
Yeah. I just think card values end up being more understandable. And that's probably a positive for all of us.
What was your take when Sean said it on the Mbappe example, in terms of, does the cash prizes, depending on that, does it cap his value?
So I think the difficulty is that a card like that, and I mean, it's technically any card, like, even when it becomes an old card, you can keep using it, that, like, the number of game weeks, if you're only using the number of game weeks where you can use it as a new season card is what you're using, then yes, it should cap it. But the fact that you can keep using that card in other ways, like, I don't think it doesn't cap it, but at least gives you a more realistic expectation of the lifetime returns of that card. How about that?
Right. It also kind of means, I know we use your João Felix as an example. João ain't going to 100 ETH anytime soon.
Not with the way ETH is moving. That's an ETH problem. That's not a João Felix problem.
But if we could turn to fiat, maybe. No, I mean, that was, again, I know I said earlier, that was like the one thing I had not thought of at all about this whole change, is like, how, at what point did you spend too much on Messi? Because it always used to be before, or Jude or Kylian, it would have been like, well, I can just win another one. I can just win another one of these guys, and that kind of pays for himself. And now it's like, you bought Mbappe week 1, and you win him in week 28, and technically that Mbappe should be half the value. I know, actually, technically you're winning cash. You're doing cash. So the cash you win, you can buy an Mbappe at half the value that you paid, and now you can have another one. I don't know. That's still taking some time to all register.
Yeah. What's up? Good to see you. He says cash is the most logical. I'd love to know how many rewards are kept in comparison to rewards sold, but it's also a lot less exciting. I assume most rewards are sold, but maybe because I sell most of mine.
I think a majority of us do sell most of our rewards, and that's back to like what Maxime's talked about for a long time when he was doing office hours and things for you, is the rush on the supply of the rewards is oftentimes what hurt prices more than anything, because 5 Mark Fleckens are given out and 5 Mark Fleckens are sold.
It's just, I think people completely underestimate how many cards are added every time there's a rewards day. It's
actually nuts.
It is crazy. Like, on a per player basis, it's not that bad, but
sometimes it is. Sometimes that's the problem.
You're right.
Sometimes you just have like whether it's like a random number generator or whatever it is, they've just decided it's like, what was it? The Maxime. It was what, 2 Fleckens, and it was like 7 Fleckens out of like 30.
You're right.
Total circulation were all in 1 week. So that would be nice. That'll be nice to hopefully get away from that.
What? Well, why are we getting away from it? We're just moving it.
No, so this is why I wonder. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter because divisions, because you can still be given out. Like, in my head, I was just like, I don't see them doing 25th to 32nd all Mark Flecken, but they do have different divisions, so 20th in each one could be
right.
Yeah,
right. It won't quite be that. Like, it'll be like 20th in Division 1, 15th in Division 2, 10th, like that way.
First in Division 5. And he's like, I got the 20th prize. Yeah. Move up.
Although I do wonder, like, I think that's going to be the really interesting analysis when we start doing this, like, rewards through the divisions, with like, is 5th place in Division 1 better than 1st place in Division 2?
Ooh.
Like, how many Division 1 spots should be better than the top prize in Division 2? Like, should it be all of them?
Probably not.
Probably not. Well, they definitely won't be, because like 1st place gets a star in both, but like not everyone in Division 1 gets a star.
But then you also go on the element is like the star in Division 1 needs to be better than the star in Division 2.
Surely.
That was like one of the rules of one of the last rewards things. That was back to the Saka Vandervoort reward swap, right? So that's still one of the weird. That's definitely one of the weirder Sorare moments ever. Was that swap?
As said, so if you're selling for cash, then surely just rewarding cash makes sense and also reduces supply to maintain value. I also realize how weird it is that Az is here and you are going to talk to him shortly. Anyway, but yeah, I'm really curious to see how many people just play cash. Like, we're going to keep playing classic because we have all the cards, but the number of people who come in and are like, yeah, I'll play for cash.
See, that's okay. So back to the topic of the show, so to speak. Here's one more mind thing that I can't get around. So hopefully you in the next 5 minutes can answer this for me. So like, if you are one of those people, maybe this is hard for you because you're going to be a classic guy too, but
love me some classic.
It'll be interesting because we need technically to finish a season to really know, but like, how much, when you do your expected value calculations like Sean did, do you equate of what the card's worth at the end? Because the card is not worth 0 at the end unless it's Joe Hart, right? And he's like retiring. But like, you buy Cucho in season for $600, $700, and then you're expecting to yield a certain amount. You've made your calculations based on the rewards pools, and you said he's going to be part of this much yield based on his performances and stuff. It's not 0 when this all ends.
So I'm never going to do that.
You're never going to sell out. You mean you?
I'm never going to calculate how much I have to win to get a card back, to pay a card back.
I'm not either. Like, that whole episode was really interesting, and all I got at the end was like, there's no way in hell I'm ever doing this.
Like, I'm going to buy cards that I think make my lineups better, and I'm going to pay what I think that and if they're too much, then I won't buy them. And there will never be a spreadsheet where I have a list of all of my cards and what I paid for them and how much I have to get back, because I play with the assumption that these cards are playable forever. And I know that they're not like actually playable forever, but that I will play with them forever. And infinity doesn't work on a spreadsheet.
So, Andrew Laird, will you ever lose?
No.
You can't lose if it's never over.
Right. Let's say you didn't lose until you sell.
There's like, I know I'm in Challenger, but in my head I can win him Mbappe.
So, like, you joke, but I think that's actually exactly how I feel.
That I think that's like a beautiful part of the game.
As long as I can keep playing, I'm winning.
Right. But you know what's so funny too, to go back to like me like going through my like cards that I don't need last night, deciding what to list, and some of them being like $1 or $2. Mm-hmm. Like, if he just rips 100 that one week, I could make all that right back.
Do I want to bring this up?
Yes, you do. I already answered it. Yes, you do.
So we were talking with another friend of ours recently, and I don't want to call them out, but he was like, I found this card. I think we should, I think I might buy it. Would you guys be interested? And neither of us were particularly interested. And we commented that it seemed cheap. And he was like, yeah, like if he scores 80s, like a ton, like he'll be a great card and then he'll sell for more. And you were like, that doesn't really happen anymore. Like, guys going on this great run of form, unknown guys who go on great runs of form really just don't sell for that much more.
Well, and specifically more with what you're talking about, it was like a contender guy.
Yes.
Like, I think champions, it may happen easier. Tuggy's been outed. Do you want us to say the name, Tuggy? We'll hold the name of the card.
He claims there's some sort of backstory, and I don't even want to hear it.
There's not really a backstory.
I thought I just changed it.
It's not a challenger card.
No, it's not a challenger
card.
Yeah, very contenders.
So it's Lucas Fernandez?
Lucas Fernandez from I don't even know where he plays now. He used to play at Sapporo or Tokyo or something.
Yeah, I think it's like the purplish Azako. I don't know. Anyhow, I don't know how to say the first name of it. No, not. Oh goodness, no. We're not going to go down the Pedro Santos rabbit hole in this show. But no, so like he was like he ripped out a really good score the first week. He's on set pieces, makes sense, and he's like if he just keeps this up, and I didn't even notice that that he went right back down to where we expect this type of card to go to. But Tuggy's point was like if he keeps up that 94 type of run with the AA, if he keeps like that going, that card could be worth more. The problem is like the life cycle of these cards right now is declining utility, or if you're looking at old season, it's not just declining utility, it's increasing inventory too, because it's going to be more and more like if he's really that good. How many rare cards is there of his supply? I think I'm just
285.
285, and theoretically next year those are going to be 370-ish, right? So just if you want a Lucas Fernandez, you're going to be able to go get it. I just don't. That's the most Tuggy life cycle of a card I've ever heard. You didn't buy him yet, right?
We were talking about the super rare, which actually I think Keith and I would have been more understanding if it was a limited or a rare. But he was like, "It is a good super rare." And we were like, "You'll never be able to sell that card."
No, it's just like I think too where we're at with the game as well is you've got to have like some serious name recognition to drive the inventory. Like it's really kind of difficult to sell no name cards right now. Like I listed like 40 of them on the market last night for like really cheap prices of guys that just are okay.
Yeah.
And just like okay doesn't move the needle. I won, I got to win. I was very fortunate enough to win Ultra Rare Plus and one Vinny Jr. That's a card for some people that moves the needle. It has that name recognition. I actually thought that card, what I got for it, was way too much for what he produces. Like if you go look at similar players for Vinny Jr., there's guys a third and a fifth of the price of him that actually are more consistent, but their name isn't Vinny Jr.
Right.
And now Vinny Jr. goes on a spurt of 5 straight games of 2 goals apiece, his price is going to go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Lucas Hernandez doing that is not going to see that.
Yeah. Not even Bruno Fernandez. As said, I also think bots affect this type of player move now. When people see these types of scores, they'll go to a bot and trade for it, which then doesn't show in the price chart. And they're probably giving up more than they should anyway for that.
Well, and I didn't even think of that point too. The problem with that too is because nobody liked the card, the bots have 30.
Right.
So they're just being exchanged for other cards that don't sell as well.
Yeah. As I look, the last 2 rares for Lucas Fernandez, Sirhis and Ruv, or Ruv, as some people call it. Tuggy bought the rare 6 days ago, by the way.
Oh man, I'm sorry, Tuggy. I hope that his ligaments are okay.
So moral of the story, we're all winners here. Thank you to everybody for coming. Keith has something to do, which I'm very much looking forward to. So yeah, if everybody could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. I'll be back tomorrow. Double dip with Harry Trades tomorrow. We've got the game week preview first, and then it's a looking up reunion. Harry Trades, Sam Ty. We're not going to look at anything. We're just going to talk to each other.
You said you're excited about what I'm doing. I'm excited for that show. That's going to be fantastic.
Me too. Big time Sam Ty now. Mr. Sky Sports himself will be gracing us with his presence. So thank you everybody for joining, and good luck out there.